is my home. I promise to keep it healthy and beautiful. I will love the land, the air, the water, and all living creatures. I will be a defender of
My name is Commissioner Frank Avila, and I'm a commissioner at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. And today, the name of our show is Free Trade or Fair Trade. And today, as my guest, I have Wanda Arakaki. Wanda Arakaki is an organic broker. She brings the farmers to the marketplace here in the Chicagoland area. Wanda is an expert in all types of product, and it deals with organic fish, vegetables, herbs, wine, cheese. If you need to buy one of these things for your establishment, you just contact Wanda because she knows everything about the organic marketplace out there. Glad to be on our show, Wanda.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And today we're going to talk about free trade or fair trade.
Fair trade.
And those are two. When you say free trade or fair trade, you think they're the same.
Yeah, people get it confused a lot because free trade sounds like something really good, and that's the way our marketplace works. But with free trade, it benefits the people at the top, and it marginalizes the people at the bottom, who are the farmers and producers. So with fair trade, this is a way to ensure that workers are paid a livable wage. When coffee prices dropped in, I believe it was the 80s, it really hurt the farmers because they lost money. They spent more producing the crop than they were able to sell it for. With fair trade, you're able to set a price, a fair price, that these farmers will be able to get paid for their products. And it's not charity, it's making marketplace fair for them. There's farmer cooperatives that will get money from the fair trade system, and they will use this to decide democratically how the money will be used to help their communities, whether it'll be through improving housing or their agricultural methods, or for schools, daycare, preschool, scholarships, healthcare. And this is the way that we can help developing countries, third world countries, is through fair trade. Started mostly with coffee, then chocolate. Now we're getting fair trade fruit. Actually, it started really with the crafts, with the handcrafts.
Handcrafts?
Mm-hmm. So places like 10,000 Villages and Serve with the, I think they're the Mennonites, the Church of the Brethren. They've been doing this since before the Second World War. So fair trade isn't something new. The term fair trade is something new. And that's come about through globalization, because with globalization, we had found that third world countries and small producers, these farmers, have been marginalized. They are the ones that have been hurt when prices drop.
Now, what is considered to be criteria to consider fair trade? Or
there's certifying agencies like Transfer USA.
Transfer USA?
Mm-hmm. It's a non-governmental organization and not-for-profit. They'll go in and they'll make sure that certain standards are kept, that the farmers are paid a livable wage, that working conditions are good for the people. And that ties into what I do with organics, because about over 85% of fair trade products currently sold in the U.S. are certified organic. So
certified organic?
Mm-hmm, they go hand in hand. And the other, it's really, almost all of them are organic. They might not be certified organic, but third world countries, the farmers are never able to afford to buy pesticides and chemical synthetic fertilizers. So they've been using organic agricultural methods all along. So to know that fair trade certification, they're making sure that the workers are being treated fairly. And a lot of third world countries, children have been exploited. And they do it because they're poor and they need them to work in the fields. But with fair trade, because they're paid more money, the children can go to school, and that's huge for families, for a future, for their children to be educated.
You know, fair trade, when you mentioned that they cannot afford pesticides or herbicides,
Right.
and they just use natural way of growing, and that's organic food.
Sure.
That's helping the environment.
Right, right.
Because the problem that we have in the United States, and we just talked about the dead zone down in Gulf of Mexico.
Right.
They have the dead zone because of all that runoff
Sure.
that is entering into Mississippi, that has all that pesticides in there, or harmful, or not enough dissolved oxygen.
Right. And with the coffee growing, the traditional way is to grow it within the rainforest canopy and with biodiversity of crops. And when they started doing high yield production of coffee plantations, they were clearing the rainforest, and then they were using a lot of pesticides. And at first, they were getting a lot more yield, but then desertification, they started ruining the land. And the same thing with cattle when they started clearing the rainforest and do cattle. And people are doing that to make more money. But with fair trade, it's not a risk. These people are guaranteed. It's a long-term commitment to these farmer cooperatives. And that's a way that we can reduce aid to foreign countries, to third world countries. They don't want aid. They don't want charity. They want to be paid a fair wage for what they're doing for their work. And this is a way to help with the environment. It's a way to help these people, because when you have unfair trade, when people are impoverished and working so hard and not being able to make a living, and you have Western countries, basically rich countries, taking advantage of this, getting the product cheap.
And then bring it over here at a higher price.
Right.
It's like coffee.
Right. But it creates an environment of terrorism.
Yes.
That's what breeds terrorism. So we don't think of that when we go and get a cup of coffee, but we should. We should think about where it comes from.
And how it gets here.
How it gets here, yeah.
Yes, it's a big problem because, you know, every day you read the paper, you pick up the paper, there's something about the climate change, about the environment, about the pollution.
And people feel helpless, but they shouldn't, because there's steps you can take, and a simple thing where you can go to Target and Jewel. You can go anywhere now and find fair trade coffee.
Fair trade coffee?
Yes, and you can buy it. And you can ask for it at Starbucks. And you can go to your local coffee roaster, and I'm sure they have fair trade and organic coffee.
Yeah.
And you ask for it. And there's stores like Whole Foods that have a policy to buy fair trade whenever possible.
Oh, Whole Foods?
Yes. So.
Well, I hope Whole Foods will stop buying some tilapia
yes. So it is consumer driven. So you go and you talk to the store manager and you ask for these products, and then you support it by purchasing it.
Yeah. Now, fair trade and organic. Fair trade predominantly is organic because, as you mentioned, they cannot afford to buy all those ingredients that destroy the soil. Right.
Plus, fair trade, one of the standards is that there has to be a healthy working condition for the farmers.
Oh. Now, who monitors this? Who determines and monitors? Do they go out and
certification agencies, certifying agencies like Transfer USA.
Transfer,
there's also one in the Europeans, the UK. They have another certifying agency. They're non-governmental, they're not for profit, so they do go and they go out and they check the farms and the farmer cooperatives to make and audit them, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Now, do you find fair trade predominantly in your third world countries, or do we have fair trade here in the United States?
It's just starting. Domestic fair trade. There's a man named Timothy Fitzgerald Young, which is his name.
and the reason why maybe they need fair trade here in the United States is that because we have a farm bill here in America, and a farm bill I think is up what last 4 years or 5 years, and you're talking about billions of dollars.
Sure, sure.
And I don't know if there's a segment in that farm bill for fair trade.
Yeah, there's people that believe that fair trade is just for the third world, and they'll say that we shouldn't have domestic fair trade.
Yeah.
But I disagree with that, and I believe, like Timothy Fitzgerald Young of Food for Thought, he's up in Michigan, and he was the first fair trade certified fruit preserves in the U.S. And he was already sourcing his fruit from local farmers in Michigan, and so he had a direct relationship with them, paying them, a fair amount for the product.
Sure.
But when he found out there was organic fair trade sugar imported from Paraguay that he can get, he started using that. So that's how he was able to get the Fair Trade Federation's certification for his preserves.
I see.
And he just came back from a conference up with Organic Valley and Dr. Bronner Soap and a group of other producers that they will have the first domestic fair trade label in the U.S.
Oh, in the U.S.
And they're starting that. It should launch next year. So they've been working on that for 4 years now.
No, this domestic label is not government regulated, right?
It'll be a non-governmental organization.
And they're going to have to regulate themselves.
Right.
Okay.
But they'll have their standards. And I think it's important because farmers here are struggling, and they need to be paid a livable wage, and they need good working conditions. The same things apply here that do in other parts of the world. So,
as we get more populated here in the United States, and as we get more intelligent, we tend to destroy our environment because we know so much. We're so intelligent that we know what's good for us. And maybe what's good for us is going back to the way we used to farm.
Sure.
Or make our products that didn't have all these ingredients that's harming ourselves. Now we got what they call nanoscale coming out now to make our products, put in our personal care products, and that's going to cause concern also now.
Right.
See, and maybe the older way is better than the newer way.
Right. I think people enjoy having a small producer, and because you get tired of just the same old big huge brands and everything processed, and when you have something where there's care taken and there's family owned, that means a lot to people, and the quality is higher.
Sure. And they don't inject any chemicals to bring their whatever they're growing or raising to market faster.
Sure.
They just use natural ingredients.
Right.
And even though it may not be as big as an injected pig or cow, but it might be smaller, but it's more healthier. Maybe a half a pound of a healthier type of food is better than eating a 2-pound that's not healthy.
Right.
So this is so fair trade. Now, and you mentioned that fair trade helps third world producers. Now, can we really trust? Let's say on a label, can we trust that fair trade label, or is it a gimmick? People are going to say, how can we trust?
With the Fair Trade Federation, when you look for the label, you know that they're out there auditing and certifying, making sure that these things that people are following what they're supposed to be doing with the standards.
And it's just starting now. You said the United States now.
It's not as big here in the United States as it is in the UK. But it's growing. The awareness is growing with fair trade, and I think with technology now, because I've met this man, Jacob Elster, and he's a young man, 26, but he's been doing this for 4 years now. His company's called Crop to Cup.
Crop to Cup.
Okay. Yeah, and this Sunday he's actually having an event at a coffee house on Damon Avenue that I'm going to attend.
Yeah.
And he's been able to use technology as a way to help promote fair trade. So he works with the coffee farmers, the producers in Uganda and Kenya.
Okay.
And he's been able to film them, put them on a website, their story. And what he does is he uses GPS technology. He not only does the selling, he calls himself a farmer representative. So he does the marketing. He does the selling and marketing of the coffee beans to roasters, to restaurants, to stores. But then to market the product, he'll have events like he's having on Sunday where he'll talk about fair trade, he'll talk about crop to cup, he'll sell African fair trade artwork, he'll have the coffee there for people to sample. But what he can also do is hook up the actual farmer with the consumers, with the guests at this party, so that they can talk to the farmer all through technology. So he has things
right there
at the event.
At the event,
yes.
They're going to talk to the farmers.
And talk to the farmers.
And if that person wants to purchase anything, they just
yeah, they go through the crop to cup company or through this coffee roast or coffee shop, coffee house that carries the coffee. But this is a way to show people, look, there's the real farmer. You can see for yourself, because yes, people are cynical and they don't believe.
Yeah.
But that's an ingenious way to use technology to do this, and he can apply this business model to any fair trade farmers, producers, to do the same thing, because I work with a fair trade organic winery.
Winery?
Yes. So they're also Etica Fair Trade Wine, and they have vineyards in Chile, South Africa, and Argentina.
Okay.
And it's the same thing, farmer cooperatives. They have a wonderful documentary they shot.
Now, is this organic wine also?
Organic wine and fair trade.
Fair trade and...
Yes, yeah. So they show what, in their documentary, they show all the wonderful things the money's been able to do for these people by just paying them a livable wage, what they've earned, how they've been able to have a daycare center and a community center and really improve their lives through fair trade.
Now, people will say, well, Wanda and Frank, Mr. Avila, I mean, we start going this, we're going to pay higher prices.
Yes.
Is that true?
It's going to be more money.
More money, but in the long run, a person is going to save money by being healthy.
Right.
If they were to compare the dollars that they spend through the year on buying prescriptions or missing a day's work or the other type of cost that occurs when you become ill,
right,
as compared to eating properly, it may even itself out, or it may be better buying a fair trade type of product, because in the long run you're going to live better. Your health is going to improve.
And you're improving the world. You're improving the living standards of everybody involved, and you're getting a very good product.
Okay,
yeah.
Now, why are you involved in this, sir, Wanda? You're involved basically because you like to help the people, knowing what's good for them. I mean, you can't force it on the people.
No. I've believed in fair trade for a long time.
Fair trade.
For presents and gifts, I would always go to 10,000 Villages or Serve. I believe in fair trade. A few years ago, my girlfriend and I hosted a fair trade party, and we had, we served fair trade food.
Fair trade food?
Yeah. We had speakers come from 10,000 Villages and Marketplace Handwork of India. We had them bring their wares for sale. People really enjoyed it. It was very educational. They had some videos. My friends and family really had a good time, and it was wonderful for them all to learn about fair trade. So this is something I've been passionate about for a long time, and I even, for Halloween for years, I would give out fair trade chocolate bars, for trick or treat. And this year, because I have a fair trade organic chocolate client, so they were very kind. I bought it, and they gave me distributor pricing, and the older kids that could read, they looked at it and they said, "Oh, organic and fair trade, and it goes to a good cause," and they thank you. So it's something that a lot of the younger people are more aware of.
Now, is there every year is there a conference here in the Chicagoland area where one could go to a free trade conference?
Fair Trade.
Fair Trade, yes.
There's Fair Trade Chicago now. There's a group.
Fair Trade Chicago.
Yeah, there's a businesses, so I need to join that group
Yeah.
too.
Because
and
you hear
meetings.
fair trade and free trade, and you
Yeah,
think it's the
yeah.
same, but it's
Right,
not.
totally different.
It's
Yeah.
totally different. Fair trade, and it's fair for everyone.
Right, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, what other products are you selling under fair trade, or are they just domestically? They're just starting to be
Well,
formed?
I have this flavoring syrup. It's
Flavoring?
key organic syrups, and they're the only fair trade and organic flavoring syrups in North America. It comes from Canada.
Oh,
So that's used to flavor coffees, so it makes a lot of sense to put fair trade flavoring syrups into your fair trade coffee.
Yes.
So I have that, and that's a great product. And they also make a chocolate sauce that's fair trade and organic. I have teas from Shamong teas from the Himalayas of India in the same family for 6 generations. So
is that considered herbal tea?
it's what is it? It's the only true Darjeeling.
Oh, the only.
Yeah, Darjeeling can only be grown in a certain area that's certified in India to be called true Darjeeling.
Yes.
So it's true Darjeeling tea. It's organic and fair trade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's what my wife and I would like to do. We like to have a cup of tea.
Sure.
Like to come home, especially now, in the winter time. You like to come home and she puts on that the boiling kettle, boil water, and pours her tea, and I have my tea, and we really enjoy drinking tea.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of my products are domestic.
Yeah.
So once they get the domestic fair trade label, they'll qualify for that, definitely.
So let's on your products that you have organic fish,
Sustainably raised tilapia.
tilapia. You have and they recycle their water to grow organic vegetables
Organic vegetables.
and herbs. That's one of your clients.
Yeah.
Your other client now is wine, organic wine.
Organic fair trade wine.
Fair trade. You mentioned cheese.
I have
also.
a lot of cheese.
You have a lot of cheese. Now, is that domestically, or is that up in Wisconsin or around?
I have, it's in 2 Illinois dairy farmers and
dairy
a
farm.
veterinarian, but they send the milk up to Wisconsin to make cheese. So that's right out of McHenry. There's only about 35 dairies left.
35 dairies left.
Yeah. So there are 2 of them.
Yeah, that's
They're
excellent.
family owned, yeah. That's Prairie Pure Cheese out of Belvedere. And then I have Organic Farm Marketing, which is Grass Point Farms and Wisconsin Organics out of Wisconsin. So that's all Wisconsin family farmers. Wisconsin Organics is certified organic. Grass Point Farms, they don't use growth hormones. They don't use antibiotics. Their big focus is family farmers and pasturing the animals.
And
So that's a way to make the price drop a bit,
Yeah.
because it's very expensive to get certified organic,
Is it?
because it's very time consuming to get the pastures. It takes about 4 years to get it to be free.
No. If someone wants to buy that type of cheese, where can they go?
Let's see. We have some of our products in. Well, the Prairie Pure Cheese, we're in 2 Whole Foods.
Two Whole Foods,
in
rich
Sauganash and Gold Coast.
Gold Coast. Okay.
The Wisconsin,
Up there on Erie Street.
Huron and Erie, yeah.
I'm gonna have to stop by there and pick up some.
That's great.
Yes. Because what you just mentioned, that they don't put any additives.
Right.
Rich, my wife has changed my life, the way I buy my products now. And we, my wife definitely doesn't buy anything, if it's meat or fish or cheese or anything that has an additive to it that could be harmful to us.
Right.
And especially if you're a young couple and you want to raise a family,
Right.
and if the mother intake some of these products, I may have an effect on their family too.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
And do you think Have you seen the Chicagoland area attitude change about buying organic or fair trade type of food?
Um, well, there's the people that strongly believe in it. There's the people that I actually tried selling to a company that makes healthy food for delivery to families, and they actually had a policy against organics because the founder didn't believe in it.
Didn't believe it?
Yeah, and I had a coffee house where the man was from a third world country,
Yeah.
and he thought that fair trade was, he thought it was the opposite. He said he thought it was a marketing ploy, and he didn't believe it. He thought they were taking advantage of people, and I tried to explain to him that it was quite the opposite, but he didn't believe it. I guess that's getting to be in the minority. Most people do believe now. Yeah, and I was telling you how I went on a tour of a big wholesaler of produce that supplies to food service here in Chicago and parts of Wisconsin, I believe Indiana, and they want to increase their organic and local sustainable family farmer offerings too, not just in produce but in dairy and other items. So, and I talked to another big restaurant chain, the corporate buyer, and he knew them, and he said, oh, I've been after him for years to do that, and he was very pleased because they would like access to this.
Well, I think it's good because if you're concerned about your family, about your wife, about your kids, or your wife is concerned about her husband and the kids, we have to change the way we conduct our life as it concerns the way we eat.
Right.
Because that's going to have an effect on our kids, their kids, going to have an effect on the environment. It covers a whole range of aspects of, even as you mentioned, third world countries. It even helps third world countries.
Right.
Just by eating properly and doing things
and it's
healthy.
Good products.
Yes,
superior
superior product. It helps everyone. So what would you recommend to your restaurants out there, your grocery stores? How would they go about finding? Is there a place in the phone book or on the website, organic associations or fair trade association?
There's the Organic Trade Association. There's like this Fair Trade Chicago group. There's Co-op America that has green pages that would list online fair trade groups and organic groups. We're all out there. You can always find it on the internet.
Now, how about the chef schools where people go learn to become a chef? Are they changing the way they cook also?
You know, high-end chefs, they always want the highest quality. So they've always been the people behind the organic.
Because they know it's beneficial, and maybe it cooks better. Maybe they make a better meal.
They want something that tastes the best,
tastes the best
quality.
and that's why they're a good chef.
Right.
The land, the air, the water, and all living creatures.